Alright guys, the first thing you want to do, we're going to loosen these two bolts, 12mm, 10mm. Alright, so I got both sides loosened up and marked in, both sides. Really one of the first things you need to do is you line your master link up right here on the thing, grab your hammer and a little screwdriver, and just knock it out. So once you pop it loose, you say you just pop that off. Pull it off. Take your master link off, and then you can just unwrap your chain. Alright, so up next, we just want to take the bolt off right here, the nut, right there. Then we're just going to take the back wheel off. Alright, now that you got the back wheel off, find you a little flat spot to work, which is going to be on the back of my golf cart here. And I'm going to get to taking these nuts and bolts out right here. That's an 8mm Allen wrench, 12mm on the back side. Alright, so I got all of the bolts out. Reason I'm changing it is it's pretty wore out. So you can see I'm missing a tooth right there. So once one tooth starts going, they all start going. I'm actually changing it from this aluminum one to a steel one because they last longer. I know it's not as pretty, but they last twice as long. Alright, so I'm going back with the same bolts. I'm going to be putting red Loctite on it because we do not want these bolts coming back loose once they are in, because if they do loosen up, you know, they'll break the hub. So we're going to go with some red Loctite. Alright, so I got all the bolts tight. Tighten them in a cross pattern. Now all we gotta do is we're going to throw it back on the bike. Alright, wheels back on. You say we're just going to leave this loose. Tighten these all the way up because with the new chain going on, it's going to suck it up real tight because it's going to be a little bit tighter chain. Next thing we're going to do, roll on over here. We're going to take the guards off right here, these two little nuts, 8mm. Take this off here, and then I'll get you a look in there when I get it off. Alright, so this is actually the stock one. You can see it's pretty wore out. But what we're going to do is, how this is flattened right here, we're just going to get that hammer and screwdriver, get it flat so we can take that nut off, flatten it out right there, and I'll let you know what size bolt that is when I get it. But we're just going to go ahead and take that off. Alright, so I got it loose. It's a 27, so what I did was just put my ratchet on there. Of course, when you ratchet it, it turns over the motor. So what I did was just put it on there and then tap it on the ends with a hammer. You know, if you had an impact, it'd come right off, but I didn't have one that fit that, so I just tapped the end of it with a hammer. It came right off. It is left to loosen, so it's not a backwards thread or anything. But we're going to take that off, switch out the sprocket. Alright, got the sprocket back on, bend my little tabs back over so the nut doesn't back off. Now we're just going to put our cover back on with in these two little screw holes. Alright, got it back on. So what we're going with this time is a X-ring chain. Don't know if you can see it, but basically they have little O-rings in between. Keeps it from wearing. Like I said, they're a little bit heavier, but the O-rings go slide on, keeps it lubricated, it lasts longer. That's why I'm going with steel sprockets, X-ring chain. This should last me a pretty good while. Alright, so all I did was just loop the chain through its thing. Got it put back on. Like that. Got my master link set up right here. I'm gonna go ahead and just throw the master link on. Alright, got my master link into position. You say you always want the master link facing that way, just so when the tire's turning this way, nothing can knock it off. It just stays there. So I'm just gonna get a little hammer, screwdriver, and knock it into place. There it is. That's what it should look like. Now I'm just gonna go through and I'm gonna get my chain slack. I like to do 3 fingers right there behind the plastic, about right there. That'd be how loose my chain is. And I'm just gonna adjust those, get my marks right on both sides, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Alright, so I think I got it all set up. Like I said, I like to put 3 fingers right behind the black thing there. That's a good looseness to it. What I wound up with is, if you count the marks, you know, 1 all the way to 5 is on that first mark. Same thing on this side. You just keep playing with it, you know, going in and out with those settings right here until you finally get what you want here. Then you tighten up this bolt right here so that it won't screw in and out. I throw 2 wrenches in here when I go to tighten it. Throw them in that chain, back your tire up on it, and that way it pulls the tire up. It'll make that butt up against the bolt. It pulls it tight. Then you go ahead and tighten down your screw, and that's it. Once you're done with that, it should be ready to roll. Like I said, big thing is that when you go out on your first practice or your first race, whatever, you just, every time you ride, you want to check these bolts right here, make sure they're not loosening up. But you know, after a while, they stay tight, they're good to go. And that's it.